Hey guys, this week on AwesomeCast, we're talking about how to get the paper out of your life. Google, a little bit of old video games, and so much more. AwesomeCast. This edition of AwesomeCast is brought to you by PittsburghOnVideo.org. Check out the best videos from Pittsburgh all in one place, PittsburghOnVideo.org. Want to have your business or podcast featured on the show? Contact us at info@sorgatronmedia.com. Subject line, advertising.
I'm getting awesome, you're getting awesome, we're getting awesome, yeah, that's what I said now. I'm getting awesome, you're getting awesome, we're getting awesome, yeah, that's what I said.
Hey guys, it's time to get geeky, time to get our nerd on. It's the AwesomeCast. Sorg here in the studio in Pittsburgh, PA, ready to get with it, ready to get googly, ready to get all the stuff, ready to get, it's a little speculative about some stuff, but we get to some of these stories. We have so much stuff to talk about. I was worried, and then I started going through, it's like, there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff to talk about. And some of it's wild speculation, but we'll see if we get to that. With me, once again, Chilla on the couch, at Chilla on the Twitter. He likes to write things for reels, as we'll talk about here when we get to our awesome things of the week. How you doing this week, sir?
Not too bad. Actually, and this is part of my New Year's resolution, so we'll see how it works out.
The writing things?
Yeah, the writing things.
Oh, I almost called it the writing one, but that is reserved for my wife.
Writing one.
The righty one.
Oh, righty one.
The righty one. Because anytime she wants to do something, she pulls up a pad of paper. She always has a big pad of paper in her thing, and she starts writing up lists and shopping lists. I'm like, why aren't you using Evernote? And maybe, hopefully, this is something that will help you. We'll get into that. Of course, this is AwesomeCast. You can find us over at sorgatronmedia.com, at AwesomeCast on Twitter, on AwesomeCast for Google Plus and Facebook as well. Having a lot of conversations about technology, about geek stuff. This is the positive tech show. We try to do that so much on this show. Like, look at some of the stories. It's like, no, that's how this thing sucks. We want to tell you about what's awesome, what to look out for, and sometimes we get into some of that other conversation. But we like to start with your awesome things of the week. So please let us know on any of those venues what you think is awesome, or join us here live in the chat room at live.sorgatronmedia.com, and you can tell us what you think is awesome and see how much you agree and don't agree with. So you see Chachi and Kraus. So we have a representative of the Google and Microsoft sides of the coin live there in the chat room as well, and a few other people and joining us on Justin TV watching the stream as well. Excuse me. So, sorry, they're talking. I just got a tip in there. So let's get first awesome things of the week. I alluded to it already, so let's go ahead with yours here. You're endeavoring to write more.
Well, I'm not only endeavoring to write more, but I'm also endeavoring to use less paper. Now, both of these products have kind of a twofold, and there's actually a third one that I didn't realize. I was hoping this one article was actually covering a different product, which we've kind of talked about the smart pens before, or like we talked about the Android Jot.
Yeah.
We've talked about those types of devices. Both of these devices actually allow you to write on paper, and it actually scribes it over to the iPad.
Okay, and we're talking about the LightScribe 3 and the Equil Jot. Is it Equil?
Yeah. Now the cool thing is, click the link real quick, and for
Which
viewers
one?
at home, I'm gonna the Equil one.
Right
That's it. Yeah. Their concept to me is really, really cool. And actually, scroll down. We don't have to watch this woman draw things. That device right there. So the device actually is a small triangle. And I'm going to try to explain this for the listener viewers.
AJ.
It's exactly. It's a small little triangle that you kind of unfold, and it has two things in it. It has the pen, and it has the sensor. Now, if you go back and scroll down to the next panel,
bring it up here.
Up right there, right. So they actually unfold the triangle. They take the pen out, and this is what I think is really cool. They pop out the sensor, and they put it at the top of the page. So now this thing at the top of your memo pad is monitoring the I'm guessing XYZ coordinates by XY coordinates of the pen as you write on paper.
This feels like the leap motion of pen use.
Right, but and it's interesting too, because we've seen this before where you had to buy, I think with the first Scribe, you had to buy their paper And you had to buy that. Like everything you had to...
Evernote has a notepad that you use, and that'll go into the software. I mean, so this is basically this is like a legacy paper device.
Right. So my goal, and I'd like to take it to the next step, and I'm going to try to do it as soon as possible, is to really stop with the notepad, like you were talking about. I'm going to quit trying to take the notepad everywhere I go, and just move to a digital format.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that I've seen myself do over time is I stopped putting things in folders in email. They get tagged or they get deleted. And I'll be honest with you, I rarely delete email.
The only reason I delete email is if I know it's like an advertising
like
thing.
Right.
Like as far as like for email actually used for communication, it's archived. That it's there. It will. If I had and for me. And I imagine with you with the work, it's the same thing. For me, like I have a client that just started, doing a project with me, and I've been doing projects with them for about 2 years now. But I can always go back to, that thing that we talked about back then. I can always bring up all of the context of that conversation. Right. I mean, but I
don't need to folder. I don't need to put it in the old proverbial folder.
No.
So my goal is to really start taking notes and tag them. Mm-hmm. Or folder them in Evernote, or I guess that gets you back into the folder mentality. But at least notebook it.
Really, notebooks are kind of tags too. I think,
and take that to like my next level, and then I don't have to worry about where'd that piece of paper go with this note on it, or where did this go. And one of the cool things that I think the editing apps that supplement these tools that are taking to the next level, and if you watch some of the video, I'll post some of these links out later on after the show. They show a woman, and she's taking all these notes, and then she takes her note, or she picks up her device, and she takes a picture of I think it's like a fashion designer. She takes a picture of this mock-up, and then the picture is actually pulled in with her notes, and then she's drawing all around it and making notes about that. So I feel like it gives me the capability that if someone handed me a sheet of paper, or like a network diagram or anything like that, I can just be like, please don't stand out in public and take pictures of things with your iPad, please, or any other tablet for that matter. But in a business sense, I can just take a picture, boom. I don't even have to worry about losing the paper, because I'm really good at losing things, or having just stacks of paper that you have to leaf through. So my goal is to really take it to the next thing. But one of the things I think that the Smart Pen is interesting, has an interesting aspect. The two pens that are in the show notes transcribe from paper, so you're still in that sense of paper. And some of the ones that I'll link out to as well, and some newer ones, and the one that I reviewed before, remove the paper element, so you can appease both types of people. The people that don't want to jump in full digital, they can still stay with that analog paper, but everything is getting moved over to a digital device for later utilization. I think this is really the first step at trying to get a mass majority of people over to things like the watch, the Google Glass. It bridges that gap to make them more accepting of the technology versus Google just all of a sudden flooding the market. And I think that's another reason, and I know you're going to come up with your piece next, some of the things that Google's doing, I think that they're trying to trickle out the device to allow it to gain more and more acceptance.
As far as Google Glass?
Yes.
We'll get into that, of course. And I don't know if you touched on this, but from the chat room, they're asking, does it work with OneNote?
I know two of the ones that two of the other ones I know that I have that we had linked out to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the other one does, but one of the important things about OneNote is if you're using a Surface or Surface Pro, the Surface Pro comes with a digitizer. Okay. So there's really no need on that side. Mm-hmm. Now for the any of these are, well, depending on what type of device, if it's Bluetooth connected or whatever, it may or may not work. If you have a capacitive display, they will work, because that's one of the things that they show on the one device. It's the nub on it is meant for a capacitive display. So, and I know, so you got these pens coming out. You got Wacom. Is that how you pronounce their name? Wacom.
Too bad Malengo's in here because he uses those all the time.
Yeah, they're coming out with a Bluetooth-enabled smart pen or digitized stylus. So I think you're going to see the market really hit big with these. I know Adobe was talking about creating some devices that would work together in a drawing and drafting scenario with a tablet. So I could see this really getting rid of the paper theory.
Mm-hmm. And I'm a big fan of that. When I went to doing teaching at PTI, I hated every time it was like, oh, let's do a quiz. We have to do a quiz, like as far as like the structure went. And I'm like, I got to deal with paper, really? I have to deal with paper.
What year is this?
Exactly. And these are computer classes, they're graphic design classes, or everything like that. And I'm like, how can I deliver this just online? You know,
print out your HTML code, class.
Well, no, it wasn't exactly. And actually, as far as like HTML went, it was, you know, what is the tag for an image? What is the tag for bold? You know, I mean, this is the level we were at. Because they were very like introductory courses I was doing. Still surprised at how quickly they push you through to HTML and CSS with that. You know, and knowing but that's a whole other discussion. Yeah, I just hated every time I had to deal with paper. And any chance I had to say, no, how can we do this in a digital way? You know, there are several instances where it's like, oh, write something out and turn it into me. I was like, why don't you email it to me? You know? Or there would be like a worksheet. And I'm like, open it up in Word and send that to me. You know, that's fine with me. You know, and I'm sure there's reasons to and not to, depending on the case. But I think for this, is like, hey, if this is a digital school and a different digital class, let's teach them how to work in a digital world. You know, they already got Gmail. You know. So, because their student account is Gmail, it's a app's Gmail. So, you know, I mean, I'm stuck on Outlook for the teacher account. It's killing me.
Hey, where I work, we don't even have Outlook, so I'm just gonna say that.
Oh no.
Oh, and we don't have Gmail.
Wow. But Evernote is the way I do. I put all my receipts. I put anything else. I put my bills in there.
Now, are you scanning or are you
taking a picture? Taking a picture.
Okay.
Although I just acquired a scanner. I acquired it a couple months ago, but I just hooked it up to help that. And it's like older scanners, and I don't know if I'm doing it, or maybe I have a weird Mac driver. Thank you, Chris. And so now I'm able to do that.
Okay.
You know, I'm cool with taking the picture. It's quicker. You know, I don't have to take it up to the office and run on the scanner, hit the button, wait for the thing to warm up. I take the picture, it goes, and it has all the OCR in Evernote. If I pay for it, and I don't use it enough to pay for Evernote, which I think if you do, it's well worth it. You get quicker OCR on everything. But anytime I have like, anytime I'm doing the bills, I go in there, I say, okay, what was the last Verizon bill I got? What was the last water bill I got? And now I know exactly what it is. It gets paid, because I'm the kind of person where the bills will stack up there on the foyer by the door, because they will. You know, this way I know I have a process. It's kind of a getting things done mentality to it. And if you know, getting things done, I need to reread it so I can pick up more organizational stuff. I would be a mess. I would not be running my own business if it wasn't for this stuff. But it gets there and out of the way, and I don't have this thing of paper that's the last how many years of bills, but I've even lost track of that. You know, it slims down the process. Any chance to get rid of paper is perfect by me. So,
but now I want to hear about yours.
Mine,
your awesome thing of the week.
The awesome thing, and this is more in context. Although there's two things. First of all, invites are out. I can invite 3 people to the Glass program. And as I DM'd you, I've DM'd like 8 people. One has accepted.
Now one of the things I think that's important to remember about the invite is
you have permission to give us $1,500.
Well, not only that, but you have the coupon expires in how long?
Exactly. I have 14 days to invite you. Now, I don't think you get the invite immediately, because I think they're still like, it's going to take they're going to process them and do them in their waves. Now, when you get your invite,
how long do I have?
You have 14 days, because I think I had 14 days when they finally sent me mine. So it's like Now you have it. Again, one person except, and I understand everybody's like, yeah, I don't really know what I would use it for, or I really can't do that right now because of the price, which is completely understandable.
To me, it's because of the price. I mean, you figure I just got the iPhone.
Exactly.
I'm waiting in line on Friday for the next iPad. It's just not the. I would be way better off if this was like February. Yes.
By the way, side note, you bring that in next week. I want to put it right next to my iPad 1, just as a full, like, this is how far we've come, you know?
It'll be interesting to compare the weight.
Exactly. I mean,
that's what I'm really looking forward to.
I've been carrying an iPhone 1 in my bag just for, like, kind of my own thing. But and I have a 4S sitting there right next to my 5. I'm going to have a 3G and a 4 coming back when we trade up my in-laws. To our last 4Ss.
Okay.
So I'm going to have like the entire span of design sitting on my desk, and just as like, this is how far we've come, you know. And I'm very reflective on technology, you know. I mean, how many times I say, you know, I'm amazed at how many times like the thing that took a giant box for me to play Doom in 1993 is on here and then some, you know. The iPhone 5. Or how the iPhone 1 played it. Hell, I was playing a version of Doom on my Motorola flip phone.
I remember playing Duck Hunt on my TI-83 calculator.
Exactly. Like, how far we've come. It's more than just Tetris and Snake now, you know? But anyways, so that's one part of it. So I aside from the people on Google Plus that said, I will pay you for your invite, I'm like, I don't know if I feel good about that one. The invites are being sold on eBay. That kind of stuff. I'm sure I would never do that because I'd be afraid that they would find out and take mine away. I know they can't because I paid for it, but I still have that like feeling. But the really cool thing, why I'm excited, is, well, first I was sad because they announced the Google Glass 2. Even I know it's imminent that this is not the final thing.
But you're eligible.
I'm getting to that.
Okay, sorry.
So I am eligible for a swap up, and I read the thing. It says you will have a one-time opportunity to swap for the new model.
Now, if you give up your swap now, can you swap when the 3 comes out?
I think this is a one-time. I think this is the only time this is happening. Okay. I think, you know, this is going to happen now. All the Explorers now get the new version. And we'll get into what is going into the new version here in a sec. So, but I get that opportunity, which is great, and I think it's one of those, you paid so much to do this. As far as manufacturing costs and go, like, I'm covered. You know, I mean, I already had one sent back and came back. I think that's why you pay so much to get into this program, because understanding you may have 3 or 4 of them before we're done with this whole thing. And of course, I'm sure once retail comes out, all bets are off. That thing is yours. It could be a paperweight. We don't even know or care anymore.
Now, are the invites? If you do the invite thing, do they also get the new?
Presumably, I think it's going to be the new ones.
Okay.
So, I think at this point, anybody
what are they going to do with the old ones?
Let
me buy like an old refurb at at 50% off.
You never know. Maybe they won't. They won't.
Yeah.
They'll recycle the parts. I hope they recycle. I think Google's a fairly environmentally conscious company.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't get to read. Do they have any of the specs of?
Not so much specs. What they did say, and let me get to the announcement so I can get exactly what they said instead of what Ars Technica here was talking about. This is because the question was, well, am I going to have to pay something? Am I going to have to go to New York? By the way, the invites, they will ship you. You don't have to go to New York City or anything for these new invites, from what I read. But no, and let's see. The hardware update will allow Glass to work with future lines of shades and prescription frames, and will also include a mono earbud. You can find more details here. There's not really more details here. It's just kind of reiterating the same thing. And then it gets into the 3 friends thing. So I think it's really cool that they did this. They said that the one-time optional swap is for explorers who purchased the device before October 28th, because they announced this yesterday. So now, there you go. And I don't know if maybe they're not actively giving any out right now. Like, I don't know if there's people going up there. They X that out because they know there's this window. I was thinking if you got it on October 27th, then it's just like, maybe that's what the big container is off of the shore, is all the Google Glass 2s. And that's why we got to wait on them. You know?
That's a lot of glass
It's
tubes.
a lot. They have
3 barges worth?
The guess is they have over 10,000 out there. I'm sure it's even bigger by now, you know. Plus, I can... Okay, let's say there was 10,000 out there. And I don't know if that's probably a mix of devs and explorers, right? And that's a softball number, right? Each one of them invites 3 friends.
Yeah, I'm thinking the size of the box. Like, that's a lot of...
You've seen the size of the box? It's the bigger one. It's like about this thick. I mean, it's...
Yeah, but think about how many you could fit in a shipping container. Like, when I say shipping container, I mean like the shipping container that's like the size of like a 40-foot, like big truck.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a lot of glass.
But it's really cool. I think it's a really cool thing for them to do for the Explorers. I'm excited to see what is the next iteration. What has the feedback come on this? I'm excited to. I'm not going to have to go buy another one to get one that's compatible with prescription frames. I like the idea, and they're revealing a lot with this. Say, okay, we're going to let you have an earbud. This bone conductor thing, not really working out too well. Really good idea. I like how it frees your ear. But now, and hopefully they do it in a way that's really optional. It's like I click this thing in and now I have an earbud or something like that. Cool. So that was a used, we figured it out thing. You know, again, revealing the idea that you will have the glass and then it will be compatible with a future line. We've talked about them doing shades and everything. So now I'm not, it looks like I'm not buying a pair of glasses that will exclusively have this thing attached all the time. I kind of like that idea. And you think, how are they doing that? Like the current shades, I should have brought them down for this.
I think the barge is drones, and they're going to airdrop your glass tubes.
Oh, that would be so cool.
And they're going to synchronize them over Project Loon.
There you go. There you go. But right now, the shades, you got to kind of put them in, like, you know, in this center part, and it's kind of awkward how they slide in. So this idea of, okay, so the prescription lenses, and they say lenses, I believe in the thing. So ideally, this is my frame, like my glasses frame, and I just get my prescription glasses, and they snap in, and I'm good to go.
In the picture...
Well, in the picture, that's not the new one. Nobody's seen the new one. This is a picture that's been going around a lot.
I mean, it looks like it would just clip onto the arm of your glasses and curl around, which to me would make more sense for a glassware, for someone who wears eyeglasses.
Mm-hmm. But I like the idea, because then I don't have, like, you know, with my situation, you see I have like 2 things of frames here. It looks kind of, you know, big and bulky, and you know, it just adds this weirdness to it. I actually can't wear this with my thicker frames. You know, I think your frames would probably have a problem.
Yeah,
too.
I had problems.
I've seen like, you know, let people try it, and they have, you know, certain types of glasses just do not work with it. And I guess this is. I think this is somebody that did one of the. This picture is somebody that did a mod or something.
Okay,
perhaps.
Because I mean, if you took just that and cut off your metal piece, and somehow magnetically or something let it fit onto the side.
And again, like, as far as like how this thing is built, hold up the camera for your video guys. So like, we got the frame, right? And there's actually, if you look closely, there's a screw there. So this comes off. This is, of course, all attached, and this has to be attached because there has to be a connector here that goes into this plastic piece. But you can take this entire thing off, and I've seen people take zip ties and just like tie it to the frame of their glasses, you know, things like that.
High-powered magnets, I'm calling it.
High-powered magnets right next to your brain. I'm sure that's going to be great for you. I guess magnets isn't an issue, is it?
I mean, there's magnets in these headphones.
That's true. That's true. I'm thinking like the cell signal and everything that we talk about. Like,
people throw Bluetooth headsets in their ears all the time.
Yeah.
And how's that connected?
Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. I think both concurrently going most of the time, as long as I'm in range with my Nexus device, which is right here. So I just have I talked about my stopgap solution that I'm carrying this around all the time as much as I can, and I love that it's winter and I have a jacket with a pocket that fits this. So typically I'm on Wi-Fi whenever I can, but of course there's those places where you can't get on Wi-Fi because there's like a screen. I have to agree to something. You can't do that with this device. So if I'm carrying that device around and I'm Bluetooth to the Nexus, and the Nexus takes care of the Wi-Fi, I have data anywhere I want.
Oh,
that I can get Wi-Fi on.
That's
the
I
Nexus.
didn't know you could do that.
Yep, because that's the main thing for. If I just had it hotspotted to my phone, typically it's a Bluetooth hotspot. I think is the preferred method.
Mm-hmm.
Like on your iPhone, on your Android device, and that's how you do data, just through that. So, and other than that, I have to have this around anytime I want to do GPS because it still only works with the Android side of things. So
wait, let me get this correct too. So if I have a Nexus device,
Android.
Android device, and I have a Wi-Fi network connection, I can reshare that Wi-Fi network connection over Bluetooth?
Bluetooth.
Or also over Wi-Fi?
I don't know.
Probably
I haven't
just
played
over
with that.
Bluetooth.
I don't know if I can broadcast Wi-Fi hotspotted. It would be a little redundant, I think, at that point. But I don't see why not, because a device like this, if I had a cell chip in it, you would be able to hotspot it.
But that's because your network connection is over technically like a different chip.
So you opened up the Wi-Fi. And
it's not like you have it's almost like you have two network cards in there. One's your cell carrier, one's your Wi-Fi.
Oh, and actually, I haven't talked about this for a while as far as some of the updates they've done since the last one. I think we've had so much going on with the Apple announcements and everything. And I actually got to use some of this. There's a talk, PodCamp Pittsburgh, where I kind of ran how I got it to how it works and everything as much as I could fit in an hour. That's up on. It's actually in our creators newsletter this week, so you go sign up for that over at sorgatronmedia.com, or if you just go to youtube.com/PodCamp Pittsburgh, I think is the handle, and look for my Google Glass talk there. So they updated this, and I'll pull this up so you can see. Hey, let's put the camera on me. So they'll typically, like, you can see this, and I can move on my glass, and you see what's going on. There's Chachi's tweet. There's Mad Mike's up at Goodfellas Pizza. That place is awesome, by the way. So I can see that stuff. But here's a new update, and we talked about, I think we mentioned on the show before, I can actually operate it here through the touchscreen.
Oh, very cool.
So it's a cool way to see, like, hey, this is what I see, this is how it operates. But if you like my grandfather, I had spent half an hour with it on the first time about a month ago. He had trouble kind of still getting back in the hang of trying the touchpad on here. It is hard, he has kind of an unsteady hand, I think, because we were talking about like if you could use like an iPhone or something. I think it's not going to work because of the touchscreen. But that's a pretty cool addition they put there as far as like demoing it. And I'm trying to bring this down here so I can demo stuff on here more often. But I'm trying to find a good example. That one didn't work out. There it is. So the biggest thing where I've been hampered with this, and I complained right before the new update, the thing I'm looking for, I want clickable links in Twitter.
Okay.
If it does
Makes
a
sense.
tweet pic, I'll get it in the background, and I actually don't have one available. But in this case, like, here's Norm Hulsman at Mr. Derby, who's been on the show several times here. So there's a link there, and we'll see how this goes. But if I click View Site, and it'll load whatever the page is. In this case, it's a WordPress thing. I think he's talking about the latest WordPress auto update. And it'll load the page, and we'll see how this works. There's a page. There you go.
Cool.
This is what I'm seeing. So now I can actually follow through if there's... it doesn't work with TwitPics because it goes to Twitter, and it wants me to download the Android version of Twitter.
But now can you scroll the page on the Nexus?
Ooh, that's a good question. Now... I clicked on something, it's loading something. It doesn't seem... I gotta work on the responsiveness. It does look like it's... Well, it's responding. I'm hearing the thing that you can't click on anything as I touch the page.
Or can you tell the Nexus tablet to open it up in a...
It does work, but it works as if you're doing this. So I have to hit the two buttons. I have to do the zoom thing. I can't, like, tap on this and that's what you tap on. You have kind of a... receptacle thing, and it kind of clicks on the link that's closest to it.
Can you like say open this up in Chrome on the Nexus?
I wish.
Because that'd be awesome. I mean,
that would be amazing. I think that's a big thing. I actually do have an extension on my browser, and
where you can send the link to your glass.
And actually, let me adjust this screen so you can kind of see it at the top here. So if you look here, if you look really closely, I have this G thing here. So if I click on that, and I actually haven't used this for a while, so I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. We'll bring this back up.
But I think one of the important things is you need to be able to get data quickly. But if we're going to go to this wearable or additional utility digital evolution, because I don't think it's really a revolution. I think it's more of an evolution. You need to be able to quickly get data back and forth from devices, but also leverage the capability. So, like, if you see a link on your glass, you should be able to tap on it and then almost like pull it up. It comes right up on your Nexus, and then I want to see this in Chrome because I want to do something with it. I think that's where you can really bridge that gap of usability.
So
like
there is, I right-clicked on the image, and it says send to Google Glass, and it sent that image to Google Glass. And do the same with text. I haven't tried it with URLs. I don't know if they've updated it with some of the updates or anything like that. And then I can do, it'll let me read aloud and all that kind of stuff, share it, pin it. So if I want this guy to be my, what I do, I just pinned it. I did just pin it. So now there he is, pinned to the left of my OK Glass, and there's Wheels saying, I want your glass. Thanks Wheels in the chat room. Hot Wheels RWA if you want to talk to him.
I think he wants one of your invites.
Yeah. I'll see if he's serious. The biggest thing is if you can afford it, I'll give it to any of my friends. I have no problem with that. But there was definitely, like, you were in the first, like, because I know you had said something, AJ had said something. I invited our friend that works for Google because apparently he didn't get one. Yeah, interesting, huh?
Maybe can you give me 7 days to start a Kickstarter? I could kickstart the money to be able to buy glass so that Sorg can give me his glass.
You should probably do Indiegogo. Okay. Probably for reasons. They're a little looser with stuff like that. This is speaking of which, and I'm not going to reveal who. Just if you know somebody that works for Google, or if you are a person that works for Google, apparently you get all the Google questions. So, like, used it.
What do you mean you get all the Google questions?
Why does my Android phone do this thing?
Oh.
So that was kind of a fun tidbit I heard over PodCamp. But anyway, so I don't want to get too far into that. Maybe we'll have him on sometime to talk about.
That'd be awesome.
We should talk. Actually, we should. I don't think he's been on the show. Has he? Has Woody been on the show?
I can't remember. I can't.
It's been a while.
If he was, it's been quite some time.
Oh, I was shocked. I was looking up stuff when we did the Scare House a couple weeks ago. I forgot that Scott was on here twice from the Scare House.
I remember him being on here at least once.
He was
I don't know.
in the studio, but we actually Skyped him in one time.
I remember the Skype episode.
Wow, that's crazy. We've done so long, I didn't even know what we've done on this show. All right, let's
keep moving because we got a lot of news.
We do have a lot. Do we want to touch on? Let's touch on the other. Let's go all Google. Get that out of the way here. First of all, I do have another Google Glass story, and then we'll be done with that, except for maybe our speculation on this barge. So this was cool, and I said this all my friends that are into music production. So this is I always like stories. The Explorer is trying to do something different with these, trying to develop something. Cornell conductor tries to modernize the orchestra with Google Glass. If you go in here, there's actually the first obvious thing is the perspective of somebody conducting an orchestra from that perspective. I think is pretty cool. Looks like they did it at a practice or something like that here. So that's really cool, getting that perspective, see what it's like there. You're seeing his hands go and everything. But the cool idea that they're trying to develop with is this idea of what if you don't have sheet music in front of you? What if you don't all have that ugly stand in front of you? And you'd have to do some really interesting technical stuff here that everybody has the notes on their glass.
And I don't think that would be that big of a deal because
synchronization is going to be a really important part of this.
But you can look up and see the conductor at the same time you're seeing your music. To me, it's no different than...
But to see your music, and you perform any music? You read music or anything like that?
And then back in the day, I played piano, so I get the concept.
So you get the idea. But you know, like everybody's got to see those notes. But you need all those notes. You're not going to see that many notes at a time. Maybe you see a measure or two at a time, right? Whatever you need for that advanced knowing what's coming idea. And it's like I played trombone in high school and everything, so I got I know how that works too. But then you got to synchronize something like that you get all those pieces coming through to, I don't know how many people are in a Pittsburgh orchestra. You know, a good 50 people, probably more than that. But they all have to make sure they're singing the right part at the right time. So, like, there's some synchronization stuff that needs to happen there, right? But that idea that, like, they're all wearing this thing, you don't have the giant stand in front of everybody, it kind of cleans up the look of the stage, and it's a new way to kind of do that. They do say, allude to, they're looking for, to develop a new way to read music. So I don't know if that means they're going to change how that looks, you know, to make it adaptable. Are you going to have to? Is this going to be like another language of music? You know, that's like not so much notes, but some other kind of mode. But a really cool kind of different idea. So, but yeah, definitely check that article if you're interested in it. I know I tweeted on the AwesomeCast account and everything the last couple of days here. So the other Google, were you keeping an update on the Google event today?
There was a Google event today?
That's the one you told me about.
That's on November 5th.
Oh, so this is another one. There was a Google Plus event overseas. I don't even know what country this was in.
Well, the one I sent you is an announcement that's going to be in Tel Aviv. I think it's Tel Aviv. On November the 5th, and the poster invite they had Kit Kat, and it was sponsored by LG, and it looked like the invite also had a Kit Kat bar.
Well, there was some Google Plus announcements today, and I don't even know where it came from. I just heard the news of it. But I found one new feature of Google Plus today by accident, because I had somebody that I was communicating with today on a video edit, and I say, "Oh yeah, call me on this number. It's my business Google Plus or Google Voice number." I was like, "Yeah, just give me a call within the next hour. I'll be sure to answer it." And then when they did call, every computer and device in my office went off as if I was getting a Hangout call. Plus, my phone was ringing. So hey, if you have Google Voice, it will call your Hangout in your Gmail and Google Plus and all that kind of stuff, which is great. Wish I knew about it. I knew I heard something about they were going to start doing it like a week ago. But I didn't realize today was the day, and this is the one time somebody called me. And
it works on your mobile devices as well.
Yeah, I heard like 3 different.
Like if you have Hangout on your phone.
On your device, because I'm pretty sure my computer was ringing, and I had everything turned up really loud because I was dealing with some low audio. I'm pretty sure the Nexus was ringing at the time. Maybe an iPad or something. It was everything. So cool that they're doing that.
One of the things I think, wasn't there a big complaint that they had done a bunch of updates to Hangout that hit the iPhone or the iOS devices, but didn't hit.
There was a new line of them. I believe they just let them back on to Hangout on there, and there's a few other ones. I can't recall all of them, but it goes either way. Sometimes there's updates that come to Android first. Sometimes there's the iOS first. It's gone both ways over the years since they've done this. So it's nothing new. It's just articles making mountains over molehills. But the other interesting thing is, and there's a really good article on The Verge I was reading and putting out there today, can Google dominate live video with Hangouts on air? They announced some updates to this. They're going to make Hangouts and on-airs a little more accessible. Of course, they're going to have some new enhanced features that are going to come up for the footage. When we have people on shows here in the studio, and I know we're a slower computer, so maybe I'm not getting the most out of it, but the idea is if you use Hangouts on air, you have more control and you have more priority to the quality. So even though we're not using Hangouts to record for our guests, we are using them to get them in here, and we want that to come in here as the best quality, so we use the on-airs when we bring everybody in. And I've said it so maybe people can find it, and it's a backup on a backup, which I'm very big on redundancy. But it's going to add even more to it, according to what they're talking about here, which kind of goes along with all the new tools they're adding for the auto fixing for photos. Because there's a big announcement on that. They're going to have an update to Google Plus apps that you don't even have to open the Google Plus app to update all your photos. They're going to come off iOS in full size.
Which that's why I think that's what got it today. Google Plus is getting background app refresh so they can pull your photos off. Which I noticed your tweet today about what do you use for online photo storage or something like that. I only want a subset of my photos up online. I don't want every photo.
Yeah, because that's
well, for me, like my manager and I were working on something today, and I took a picture of something for work. I don't want that photo up on the Google Cloud.
But it is privatized. I have the same thing. I take care of I take my bills and my receipts appointment Evernote. Guess what ends up in the Google Cloud?
I would be more okay with my bills and my receipts than confidential work data.
Exactly. But are you doing it on a work phone? Does it not agree?
No, it's my BYOD.
It's yours.
My personal device.
Okay, and that's a consideration to think about.
Yeah. That's why, I have it set up, and this is probably why I haven't. I need to embrace Google Plus more, but that's the one kind of stopgap. I'm not throwing all that content up there, so I need to get more in the habit of, I threw that up on Facebook. Oh, I should put that up on Google Plus. Oh, I found this person and I friended them on Twitter, and then I found them on Facebook. Oh, I should go find them on Google Plus. I think that's where I need to actually make a mental note to put it in my my social media workflow.
And it's a problem. It is a problem. Now, some people, I was talking with somebody yesterday, tell me, what do you use those certain things for? And they're like, well, why don't you? I was like, why don't you push your tweets to your Facebook so everybody can see them there too? Then you don't have to double yourself. I was like, well, Facebook's for the family, Twitter's for my friends. Explicitly, it was like, okay, then what's Google Plus for? If you put that, how do you work that into a workflow? Versus, I use Twitter's. It's Twitter first, and that goes to Facebook. And that's where I check in on my family and everything like that. Twitter's for the general. Okay, Twitter is for the general personal brandy kind of thing, leak mine ideas, articles kind of thing, which all gets pushed to Facebook, so my family and friends there can know what I'm doing. It's also business because that's where a lot of those people are. But it's always Twitter first, Facebook second. Google Plus is where I want to go have a conversation. That's where I'll put this article out on Twitter, but I'll put this article out with some more broad commentary on Google Plus.
Okay, so you expand because you're obviously you need more than 140 characters.
Yeah.
Really
so I'm like, hey, check this out. Isn't this cool? I think this is blah blah blah. Versus, I think this is blah 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 because you don't get a because on Twitter in 140 characters typically, not very well. Until you're having that back and forth conversation and everything, which are really fun when they're political. So yeah, it is hard to find that kind of flow. And really, I'm doing a lot of duplicating when it comes to doing it for business pages and everything too, because it's just a lot of cases it's not there yet. I'm really onto this concept though of especially for my one client that's a brick and mortar. Realizing that nobody comes to the Google Plus page, but everything you put in a Google Plus page is everywhere. Because I was looking at stats, and it's like, well, how do I have 200 hits to this? It was like, no, that's people looking you up on Google Maps, looking you up on Google in places. What is places now, which is Google Plus? Finding information, looking up your phone number, and that is important. And now all that other stuff gets attached into that as well. So it's really interesting. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people detach this. Oh, it has to be like a page where people come to the thing and they see all their stuff, and that's not the case anymore. But no, yeah, looking forward to... Oh, this is the other thing with Google Hangouts. I can have a landing page and have people say, hey, go to this link at this time. Because right now, if you haven't done Google Hangouts, and this has been a little bit of point of contention for me, because we do things every Monday, Thursday after pay-per-views for Mayhem Show. We were doing every Zach got a little bit upset, but we've been doing every Monday Hangouts at my one clients. But you had to wait for me to hit broadcast. So I had to hit broadcast and then go grab the link and throw it somewhere. Or, to put it out on social media and everything. It was really like, boom, it needs to happen now. So nobody's there first off. Well, I guess you do get the link, but I have to be in the Hangout and set it up at least first. Or I'm not going to do that 3 hours in advance. Right. When I'm saying, hey, this is where everybody needs to go. So I'm able to create an event. I can start, maybe this is something we look at for this. Maybe I start broadcasting this on Google Hangout, and now I'll have a place to say, or an embed in advance that I can put in our live page. Or something like that. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. We'll see how that goes.
Well, and how does that work? And I'm a Google novice when it comes to this kind of stuff, especially when it comes to Plus and Hangout. I am not nearly involved enough as I should be. So how do you either make it where anybody can join, or versus, hey, I only want these 3 people in my Hangout?
Well, because you really have not done Hangout, right?
Right.
Well, when it comes to Hangout, and I'll actually bring it up, we can do a little mini tutorial here. And this has changed, but anytime you can't do a public Hangout that's on air. You can't record a thing where anybody can pop in.
Okay.
But the big difference is I can say, and Chachi, just ignore this call. I'll say, I want to have Chachi here joined in the call. Or if I want anybody to jump in, if I want to have something and say, hey guys, let's talk about Monday Night Raw, anybody, and this has had interesting results, I can just make it, well, I don't know why that happened. I used to be able to do this. Again, Chachi, if you get this call, just ignore it. And they just updated this. This looks completely different now. This new icon was not here before. So let's see what this does. Actually, I don't know anymore because they just changed everything. So that's calling him. Now I should be able to... Oh, wow. They changed everything. So now I can add...
So you can add a person, but can you make it like anybody?
Public.
Okay,
no,
public.
Wait, what did this do?
You got rid of your public.
The video call can't be made public after it started. So basically, I just make it public when I start it.
Okay.
Or if I want to make it, I want everybody in my circles to be able to join.
Okay.
So if I wanted to,
or you could pick a specific circle.
Or I can pick a circle. If I want to do this for the Wrestling Mayhem show, I can be like, hey, everybody in my Wrestling Mayhem show circle. And that's going to be everybody I have in that circle. Everybody's in the show. Everybody that I want to. And I just called all of them. There's Chachi joining us. I'm imagining that's from a mobile device. Am I right, Chach? I think I can hear you now.
Yeah.
I can't hear.
So there's not much to hear there. So thank you for our demonstration there, Chach. We'll see you on Let's Play. All right. But you get the idea. And like I said, that looks way different than it did last night. So,
So they've done something.
But the on-air I did with Malenko earlier looks exactly the same, unless they just changed that. And that's not the first time. Remember the one time I had to go teach Google Plus at the library, and they changed the design at 3 p.m. and my class was at 6. So this is nothing new. You get used to that kind of thing. So,
well, and I think that's one thing that makes Google who they are. I mean, they have that capability to be extremely agile in what they do and how they work, and just in that iteration. I mean, obviously, you could figure out how to get it to work. It's not like it was so crazy different. Or maybe if you were trying to teach a class and you had screen captures and with
so there's a lot of
arrows and
there's
icons.
A lot of I know this thing is in there. Forgive me because they just moved it at 3 p.m. today.
Yeah,
bear with me. And but it was a good lesson in hey, it will change. Get used to that idea because it will change. I think everybody gets on Facebook again. I think older people get on Facebook. Older people used to having the same TV for 20 years. Something changes that rapidly. I think it throws some people off guard that aren't ready for it. So, hey, one of your stories.
Hold on. Here, I got a story for you. I just got a random text message from someone at a trivia.
Oh, no, we're back. Sorry, I thought we froze.
When you clap, it must fix things.
Apparently,
that's your hero power. There was a trivia. I got this random text trivia question. Someone's at a trivia night, and what's the largest city? What's the largest city for Comic-Con? I said San Diego.
Makes sense.
I don't know. I just texted back and said, was I right? But anyway, so some of my stories, which I moved the doc to a different tab, which I actually really like your one about online emulation, so we need to get back to that.
Okay, that'll be our closer.
But so some app updates up today, which I really enjoy the photography aspect of social media. Google Plus does a really good point on it, so that's one of their main reasons I'm interested in Google Plus. I think Facebook's gotten worse over time.
It's really hard for me to go put pictures up on Facebook anymore because I don't want to bother because it's way too easy on Google Plus. It's great to go Google Plus. All my stuff's up there, and I say, "Oh, here's the thing from what we did Saturday at this thing, and here's an album. Go share it." You know, that's why you usually see clusters of me sharing pictures on there sometimes. But then now all the people that follow me on Facebook don't get to see it. So,
but now Twitter's changed. They're actually implementing more. They actually updated their website this afternoon, and you should see new apps on iOS and Android. For Twitter to take into account better and more timeline photos, as well as it looked like they were doing something with the Vine as well. Also, I'm a huge proponent of Firefox. Honestly, this show is pushing me more towards Chrome by the minute, but all my Android devices I've always loaded Firefox on, so there's a new version of that out there today, which I'm excited about. And one of my favorite apps as of recent is the Microsoft Remote Desktop, which they released for iOS and Android.
Which is the top downloaded iOS Microsoft app.
Right. But now here's the thing, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm actually asking this as a mere question of, should we rethink that 1 million is a big number? Because when you tell me your app hit 1 million downloads and companies like Samsung or Apple sell 9 million devices in a weekend, is 1 million actually meaningful? I don't know.
Not when you're Microsoft, right?
Yeah, if you're Microsoft, if you said 1 billion people downloaded it, or I don't know, 10 million people downloaded it, I wouldn't start ranting and raving about 1 million. And I'm not trying to signal. I'm not singling Microsoft out in anybody.
I think it's a big deal if you were like, I'm Twitter and I just started,
or I'm 19 years old in my basement and I made my first app.
I'm Instagram and I just hit 1 million.
Yeah,
you know, that's important. Your Facebook and you're telling me 1 million is like, but you have billions. Why aren't they getting on board? You know, I think that's.
I thought Microsoft did a really good job with their app, especially exposing it out to the iOS and Android world. Obviously, they can do a lot within their own.
Is this what you're talking about? Because I think I've always had to hit a button for these pictures to pop up, right?
Right.
So now that's default, and we've already been seeing this a little bit in like TweetDeck. I've seen them pop up already. Of course, this is the TwitPicked stuff. So
now I think what they're trying to do, and I've seen, who is it? I've seen Twitterific start to handle it. I'm wondering, are you going to drop your devices?
I dropped my phone on the loud thing. Sorry.
I'm wondering if you're going to start to see them pick up additional carriers, like your TwitPicks, like the other or was it? There's some Goo one.
They had Instagram, but then they didn't. So
I think that originally started because Instagram was blocking something, and then I think they opened it back up, and Twitter was like, "Well, you know what? You blocked us."
So I've noticed this. I've actually noticed this over last week, and I don't know if this is something that's new. I know I've seen iJustine do it. I've seen a couple other brands I think do this, where hey, go and I did a little bit of an experiment with one of my clients this week as well, where they say, hey, go here and check this out. But if you just put the link, it's not going to come up with anything visual like that's coming up on the timelines here. But hey, go check out our newsletter. Here's a link for the newsletter, but we also put a short URL for a straight picture.
Okay.
So it'll come up now. In the case of iJustine, she put one up after the Apple announcement last week, where her talking about I'm going to order on blah blah blah. And then there's a link, and you know, whatever app I was on, it just shows the T-code thing, so you don't know where it's going. But all it is the image that's showing up below it. So now you're using part of your 140 characters, not necessarily for something functional. And these aren't like, hey, check out this picture, because it was just the plain iPad Air picture. Why am I going to check that out? I can see it everywhere, right? But now you're decorating, much like we do when you're on Google plus Facebook, and here's a picture, but it's really just supplemental to the information I'm giving you.
I can't wait for them to put CSS capabilities. Oh, this is going to be MySpace all over again. I am going to have sparkles all over my homepage.
But with pictures, so it's an interesting.
And they don't see. I think the one thing that people would go crazy over, animated GIFs. And there's been a couple leaks that like Facebook was thinking about it. Some people showed where all of a sudden they could show an animated GIF in the timeline, and I think that's. I love animated GIFs. I'm a simplistic person.
Awesome.
But why not allow them in my tweet
All right,
feed?
let's get on this one, because I know you've been wanting to get to it. You've been enjoying this. Let me see if I can pull it up, the video game one.
Yes.
So archive.org has been tremendous. They archive old orphaned works, out of copyright works. We're talking about music. We're talking about, I used to be able to send my podcasts up there to get archived. And I believe this is with the Library of Congress. Am I right? Or I think this might be independent.
I'm not sure.
But so text, video, web, there's actually a Wayback Machine. You can go search for, hey, how did, I don't even know if it works, sorgatronmedia.com look in 3 years ago, or what did Yahoo look like in 1998? And they have a version of it that they cached, and they can show you all the versions they captured. Some of my old websites I think are still in here. That's really scary. But now they're using what's called the. Let me bring up the article. I brought up the thing itself. Basically, they're storing software on here, but now you can play the software via emulators. This is the MESS, the MESS computer software system. It's a JavaScript-based port of that emulator. It's emulating things like the Atari systems, old Apple systems, computers I've never heard of before. And if you go to this historical site, which if you just go to, it's archive.org/details. I haven't even been switching then, have I? Archive.org/details/historical software. You can check this out. There is an old version of The Hobbit. There's an IBM personal computer boot up there, a game called Adventureland, Mystery House by Sierra Online. There is a Atari dealer demo, which I think is more or less just a color logo that they could put on the monitors that are in the store window. They have Choplifter on here. They have 3 different versions of Pac-Man, including the 1982 Atari 2600 version, a 2000 remake under the specs of the 2600, and the Casey Munchkin, which I think is for the Odyssey 2, which I believe there is a early case of a clone game getting axed in court. It's pretty cool. They got Pitfall, they got E.T. in here, and I'll load up, and here, we'll load up
There's
E.T.
a game that failed miserably.
Exactly. So there's some information about E.T., the box art, and you click to run an in-game emulator. I could do a dark background, maybe, and if I hit space, and I get a little spinny thing, it makes it a little bigger. We'll see if it loads.
It loaded on mine because I just played Pac-Man.
There we go.
Yep.
Got some E.T. I don't know how to control it.
Well, here, it's arrow keys and spacebar, because remember the Atari only had a button and the joystick.
Right. So there we go. Not that I'm really going to make much sense of E.T. at this point, but he's landing on my computer.
I could never finish this game. This game made me nuts, and so did Indiana Jones. There's an Indiana Jones game.
I don't see that there's any audio so far with this. I have not seen.
I had my audio turned way.
Like I had a couple things. I don't think I'm getting anything out of this, but not that the audio in this era was really tremendous. I'm sure, but yeah, got my ET moving. So where do I fall into the hole?
Go. I think you can go down. I think it's like an awkward side scroller. Yeah. So
Oh,
you can
no, I fell in the
now
hole.
you fell in the hole.
Great. So you can experience the wonder of ET right there.
Yay!
So we should send that over to the video game guys. So, but no, it's pretty cool. So all this whole, again, I talk about like looking back and that all this stuff can run on this. This is running in your browser.
Well, it's interesting too because if you look at some of the different stuff about copyright and expiration of copyright and stuff like that, I don't know how true this is, so don't quote me on this, but I'm starting to read where certain things, the copyright on the game, the trademark on the character is not run out, but the copyright on the game. Mm-hmm. So the games are now technically are able to be sold as an emulator ROM. Mm-hmm. So you may see in the very near future the whole original Nintendo Entertainment Center in ROM format, where you can throw it on.
As it is, you already have the patent on the original NES ran out, mm-hmm. and you can legally see new NES systems that other companies are putting out, mm-hmm. And that's why you see ones. And I'm presuming the same thing happened at Super Nintendo and Genesis, because they have you can run all of these on this system. Like they have a port for each and the controller and everything, which is cool. It was cool. My system's all gunked up from being in storage for whatever, or we got the Nintendo thing where it all doesn't work half the time.
Or you had Zelda and the battery no longer works.
Well, there's that. It's not going to solve that problem. But now that you have someplace to play these things, mm-hmm. I think it's really tremendous. I don't think. Well, that'll be nice because then you don't have. Hopefully, there'll be a certain point here where. There's that gray area with ROMs. You're really technically not supposed to have ROMs on your tablet or anything like mm-hmm. that, unless you own the game. So it's not illegal, and that's where Apple makes the decision: we're not going to play that gray area game, and you don't have any on an iDevice, except for that one that snuck through. That was part of the Dropbox app that you could get.
I did see. So there's been a couple that have leaked out. There's been a couple that have leaked through.
There's a MAME emulator mm-hmm. that you can put games, and I have that on the iPad too, but you can't get it anymore, of course. It slips through every once in a while. Of course, you can get as many as you want on an Android device, because that Google doesn't play the gray area game.
Well, that, and you can check the checkbox that says allow me to load apps from non.
Yeah. Not that it's
non-Google App Store.
Not that you can. Yeah, there's that too. You have an option, but it's the Play Store. They're not as curated mm-hmm. as it, which is a advantage and a disadvantage, really. So. Awesome. Well, I think we awesomed out this cast, sir.
I agree.
So Google heavy, but there's a lot of announcements and everything like that. I'm really glad we didn't get too much into the barge. I've heard enough stupid stuff about that barge.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Well, some of the awesome and upcoming, obviously, real quick, I'm going to run down that road. I forgot to put stuff in here. Obviously, Apple's releasing their tablet at the end of the week. I think you're going to see... There's been no formal date, but I don't want to make this sound like a rumor because they're starting to leak out, or not leak out, but they're starting to give out invites for overseas meetings. So I'm guessing by the time we meet next week, you are going to see a new Nexus device, phone, and KitKat. I'm thinking that based on some of the things we're seeing, so keep an eye out for that. And I think that's the only major stuff that I have for the next one. I'm trying to keep this up to 1 week out. Mm-hmm. So 2 things to look out for the next week, both awesome. Kind of hardware and software based.
And again, if you want to join us here and tell us what we missed, your thoughts on it, all that kind of stuff, live.sorgatronmedia.com is where the chat room has been joining us. And, of course, we're viewed all week. And, actually, you can check us out there and on JustinTV/Sorgatron Media. We had some bugs this week, but we have a 24/7 stream that should be going the whole time over there. So if you want to just dip in and see what we're doing, we replay all the stuff that we do here on Tuesday night and other stuff going on at Sorgatron Media. So you might dip into some wrestling, you might dip into some tech, some other talk, some Pittsburgh nonprofits, all that kind of stuff. We're just going to dump in there and see how people like it. People have been really responsive to it so far. Again, a lot of new eyeballs on stuff. So with that, and also check us out at AwesomeCast on Twitter, and of course on Google Plus and Facebook as well. We'll see if we have it. I have it for 2 of the shows, but I've been getting invites today again with Google. Vanity URLs for Google Plus. Google.com/plus Wrestling Mayhem Show and Google.com/plus Insert Coin to Begin have popped up now and are available, and you can get to our Google Plus page via those. I'm waiting for the one on AwesomeCast and everything. Haven't seen it yet, of course. I've been busy with the show. But those two came like right after each other. It was really
That's cool.
Like within 5 minutes, I got both of them. And it was like a really super simple process. So I'm glad to see that's happening after all this time. So with that, thank you again to our awesome chat room. You've been our awesome audience. Have an awesome week. Wheel Laporte was complaining about that today since he updated.
Are you still seeing? See, I don't see the restart.
I see the restart all the fucking time. It's not like to the point it's annoying, but I'm really worried about. It seems like when I'm using a couple different things, like I might have something running in the background, and that's what's triggering it.
Try turning off background app refresh for a day. Does this happen at least once a day?
It might. I should actually start tracking it.
I would turn off background app refresh for a day and see if it goes away. And then you know you have a rogue app. And then you could go turning on the background app refresh. You can turn them all off, or you can turn them each single app on or off.
And
then you could start turning them on.
So maybe I start doing that. What does background app refresh do? It
allows an app to wake back up in the background and suck down data.
Okay, so
Hangouts is an example.
Okay.
That I think they just added background app refresh to. Field Trip is a perfect example. Based on a geolocation movement, it's made by Google.
Yeah. No, I got Field Trip on this.
Right.
I love it.
So Field Trip on the phone, obviously, if you don't bring the app to the foreground every so often, you're never going to get data.
Yeah.
Field Trip monitors. Background apps can trigger in a multitude of ways. One of them is by geolocation change.
Mm-hmm.
So Field Trip, when it notices a large geolocation change, it will actually wake up and now then poll for additional content. Apps can also wake back up based on frequency of use. So let's just say every morning when your alarm goes off, you use your phone as an alarm. Every day when your alarm goes off, in the past you were opening up the podcast app, so it would grab all your podcasts. The app was open, but it was 10 minutes in the background, so it wouldn't normally be able to wake back up and download the podcasts.
Yeah.
Now, after a few times of you doing that, it'll know that based on when your alarm's set, you're going to refresh podcasts, so don't even bother, because it's going to do it for you. It's going to try. I think they're trying to learn your habits.
So it's like it's kind of Google Nowing how I use the phone. Sort
of, yes.
Like in a roundabout way, basically. Never mind, I want to double check if this thing actually backed up because I was having some problems. Because I started using iMovie more and then wanted to back up 1.5 gigabytes of the stuff I'd been using. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do that. Although I wonder if I iClouded that. I don't know. Does anybody know? Does iMovie iCloud between the app and the program?
It's supposed to, because you're supposed to be able to link through iCloud too with Apple TV, so you can watch.
That is amazing if it does that.
That's where I feel like what do they call it? iLife is moving their apps towards the more pro sector.
We're completely having an on-show conversation.
iWork is moving their stuff towards
last night at 9:55.
A dumbed down concept.
Well, we'll get into this, but the best idea is you don't think about it, and it just happens. But it's annoying when it doesn't just happen, which I've had that with some of my scripting app and everything. It's like, why isn't this moving over? It's sitting here. When does it say, oh, hey, you have new stuff, bring it over here? And part of it's probably because I have an iOS 5 iPad, which I'm finding more and more uses for.
I'm sure there's hundreds of uses.
And now I have, because Missy's pretty much forsaken her old iPad. She's like, I can't do enough with it. And so I was like, okay, what can I do with 2 iPads? Yeah.
There's a really cool game system type thing where it has like a deck of cards, a thing of poker chips, like all kinds of stuff, and you can actually use multiple iPads or phones and connect them together. So like you can take your card and flick it off your phone and it ends up on the table.
If nothing else, I have 2 really cool displays to put on a booth next time I go to a con.
Well, there you go.
If nothing else.
And I'll have a dock for you in a couple weeks here.
Oh, because
like
you're updating.
The white dock.
Oh, cool.
Not the one with the keyboard.
I have the one that, well, actually the one I got from you that plugs into the regular mini USB. That's sitting up there, and then I have the keyboard. But the keyboard is in something because I used it because I've been using the one iPad, and it's been varying success because certain places I don't have internet on any of this stuff I bring. But I'm setting it up as an email sign up.
Oh, that's cool.
So because I saw them doing it for a email sign up for the brewery. The startup brewery that was at the hardware store a couple months ago that I went to, and I'm like, okay, I need to do that, you know. It's like versus people writing stuff. It's like, oh, you know, they'll type it. Maybe that'll be a little easier. And it's something that it's technology. It'll draw people's eye. And it's like, oh, what's this with the iPad? It's like, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. It's a good like conversation starter at the booth, I think. So, anyways, to the show.